Hello everybody, welcome to another speedrun game against Leonardo, rated 1662, as we close in on the last 100, the hardest 100 to get, as he finally moves. He's controlling the e5 square, but not the d5 square, so we put a pawn in the center. Not theory, just understanding of the chessboard. That's what you need. He now strikes at our center, playing some type of delayed English, luring us into d5. Fine. The drawback is we can push if we want, going down these space gaining lines. However, this pawn can be overextended, so let's see. He creates a pawn chain, simple stuff. I do want to secure this point. Oop. What was that? I was supposed to play knight c6, but my hand clicked too early, so we made a totally random pawn move. Okay, so now let's try to adjust. Kind of really ruins a lot of stuff, but he just develops a bishop and controls this square. Now that we kind of ruined things, maybe we commit to ruining things with f6 and e5. Because his bishop can't go this way, it has to fianchetto, which we kind of blunted by accident. So he can't address this weak diagonal that I'm making. So what if I just take control over both of his pieces with e5? Maybe that can give me the initiative back, since I messed up with c6, which kind of gives him back the initiative. Because this looks tricky, he doesn't know what to do, and you can't stop e5 because f6 is a pawn. So you think, wait, this can't look right. How do I take advantage of this? You can't be playing f6 on move 4, right? So he attacks the center, trying to open things up. That makes some sense. But I'm still going to attack his bishop for free. Gain space. This guy's 1700. Hello? Why didn't he retreat? Am I dumb? I don't get it. Even before I do that, I'm going to throw in a check. Tie down his pieces in a pin while I develop for free. Then I'm going to take the piece. What's his idea? I mean, I'm hanging all my pawns, of course, but... Okay, so he just takes the central pawn. I don't really want to... I mean, this is a good pawn, but I kind of want to develop. Although if he does take it, he can get a pretty nice center. So let's take the pawn, or do we have something more forcing? Kick the knight, he takes this way. Let's take the pawn. He's actually not even up. Like, you'd think that we get the piece and he somehow gets 3 pawns. We have the piece and he has no pawns for that, 0. Which is crazy. I wasn't expecting him to have 0. So he doesn't give us a check, he just develops like nothing's happening. Okay. I mean, he's going to take this pawn. I might as well kick the knight and then do this. Like, if I consider this pawn a lost cause, I might as well be as big a nuisance with it as I can. I don't want to waste time protecting it. All my stuff's on the back rank. I want to develop. Funnily enough, this blocks a check. He doesn't have time to castle. He moves here, which attacks the pawn. But now this defends it. We're ready to castle. His knight is loose in the center, which is never a good thing. We castle. We want our king safe. We have an open f square because we moved our f pawn. We want to get our king out of the way, up our piece. He moves the knight, looks at the center. Our bishop's kind of in limbo, neither here nor there. So let's move it to a much better square for free because it hits the knight and aims at his king, which might get checkmated. So he takes the pawn, which was free because he has 3. How long has he had 3? Wait, he had 3 here, so he could have taken it. But then his knight would hang. So he couldn't take it until he moves his knight, yeah. Okay, so he takes a pawn for the bishop. Now he finally has one pawn for the bishop, and that pawn was kind of in our way, so we could definitely go for trades. Um, I think he can't even take this pawn due to tactics, maybe. What if I take the knight, and he takes, and then I take, and then he goes here. Oh, when I give the check, he can bring the bishop back. So takes, takes. Yeah, I guess I don't have queen h4 there. I mean, I'm up a piece, it's all good for me, but I was hoping to win more stuff because I'm greedy. Okay, so I'm just going to do the positional c5, making his knight dumb, clamping down on the structure so I have complete control over the queen side, over his piece, and I'll decide what I want to do. Any trades develop my stuff for me, if he initiates, so I'm simply building my position. I can now put my knight where I intended to put it. And even if we weren't up a piece, like let's say he had a piece somewhere, our position looks great. More space, full control, beautiful bishops aimed towards the king side, easy squares for our pieces, open f-file. These positions are practically awesome to play. This is the stuff you should be looking for. Everyone tries to go into things like caro-kann, but a lot of times they just end up playing squeezed, restricted positions. Like, why? If you could play something like this. So he takes, and I think maybe we can bring our queen in. Also the rook, though, for the rook lifts, because the queen might want to be on this diagonal. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. So if I want the queen in front, it's going to be 4 no matter what. I'm going to take with the rook, considering he doesn't have a minor piece, knight, or dark square bishop to harass me. I'm totally safe. So how does this help his defense? So h4 seems quite random. Like he's moving it so he doesn't lose it, but that seems crazy. It's also in the line of sight of this. I think he's just going to go g3 next. That's his idea. But I feel like I could sacrifice or something. Also, if I include this knight, I'm just trying to do it so quick because I'm greedy, but okay, so instead of going rook here, he's just going to go here. I'm going to go rook over 1, and if he harasses me, can I take this here? Actually, no, I don't have another rook because I'm not developed, so okay, let's just start with this to clear this square for our queen, to force him to go g3, and then we can develop our bishop for free and on his light squares. Let's just start with this. We can always play rook g6 whenever we feel like it. And rook g6 after rook g3 gives more possibilities of sack. Like if he tries to hit us, maybe we have more resources. So now this pawn is hit twice. Oh, he pushes it. I see what he's trying to do, but I'm not going to leave my rook here. I'm going to move it, of course. But not this turn, because I don't need to. Instead, if I go queen here, I'm threatening checkmate. He'll probably go g3. If I sack there, check, check, check here. I go bishop here, threatening mate. Could try that. There's also queen here. But then he can go, well, he can't go for queen trade because I have this resource. And the point of this would be to go bishop here and sack my bishop. Could also just go here. Everything's winning. I'm just wasting time for absolutely no reason. It's ridiculous what I'm doing right now. It's absurd. It's unnecessary. I'm just going to bring out a piece and reset my brain. There's so many good moves that I could sit here for 30 minutes just calculating fun stuff. So I'm doing the one move I didn't want to make because this is the one move that's like so slow and so doesn't do anything specific. You know that I didn't want to make it. I wanted to do something fast and more accurate, but I did it to reset my brain. I can't have what I want. But now that he put his bishop here, I mean, thank you for helping me bring my knight in. Now it makes a little more sense, so that was nice of him. Okay, random check only helps my king. I don't want to trade my attacking piece for no reason, my bishop. His bishop may look nice here, but it's not actually going to help him at all when he gets checkmated. Because it's not defending his king, really. It sees backwards, but it's off this diagonal. Which is dangerous. Because now I can take that diagonal, which lets my rook open up again, coordinate with the queen. It's almost the same as resigning, moving your bishop off this diagonal. Because this pawn was that important to keep. You need to make sure my rook... Okay, so he tries to just kick me away from my posts. Says, hey, that's a strong knight. It has to go. We have this lovely, lovely outpost that he just created for us with his newly created weakness. However, I'm going to bring in a new piece and hit the queen. And instead of using this square for the knight, I'm going to do it with the bishop instead. I mean, he wants to go here to stop my queen, but that hangs stuff. If he protects the pawn and I go here and sack my knight, can I just take the pawn? Here, 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 check, here. So he goes there. I'm running low on time, so I'm just gonna take the pawn with an attack on the queen. Queen goes there, which hits our bishop and our knight, so it's a double attack. We can defend both and attack something, so very multi-purpose move. It saves two pieces and attacks an opponent's stronger piece. So this is hanging, this is hanging. Maybe you could take this one. Maybe you could take this one. He did stop our queen infiltration for the time being, but we are up a piece, so we don't need to checkmate him. You could just trade and do things simply, which probably would be easier. So, but I keep forgetting we're up a piece, so I'm playing as if we need to try to somehow find a win when you have so many wins. You already have your connected passed pawn here. So even if you weren't up a piece, you have your endgame win condition. So you still don't need to find another one. You don't need to attack the king. I just have a habit of looking for ways to attack kings. So sometimes it gets you into trouble actually, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing in the position. So it looks like we made a good move that makes him think. And there's nowhere to put your rook except for on B1. That's crazy that all of these are covered. I guess it's not that crazy when you consider it's two minor pieces. they should control that many squares. If we had another rook, like if we could transport our a8 rook on f8, this would be so easy. You just take right here, which we'll probably do anyway, because it's just a nice point. Once we get rid of that, our pieces can flood in. And now he finally has less time than us, and I think Leonardo is realizing that he's actually lost. And I think we have really nice harmony in our position. Again, this a8 rook would love to teleport to f8, but otherwise, you may say this rook looks dumb, but it's actually well placed, pressuring a weakness and threatening checkmates, making the threat on the weakness super urgent. So is he just letting his clock run, or is he trying to look for the absolute best moves? There is a difference. One of them, even though you're going to lose the game, you will get better at chess because your critical thinking is operating. The other one, you're just trolling and you will not be getting better at chess. Because in the next game, you're just going to have that same troll mentality instead of the critical thinking mentality. So I'm going to assume he's trolling us. So let's go through the game. A lot of you might be confused as to what the best first move is here, but it's extremely obvious. There's no reason for you to go knight f6 here. These 4 squares need to be filled and taken. Whichever one he lets you take, you take. If he goes c4, then he lets you take e5. If he goes knight out, he lets you take d5. If he goes e4, he lets you go e5. If he goes d4, he lets you go d5. So that's super easy on how to get your first move of the game correct. So he does make a move. He retreats his queen here, leaves his rook hanging, but protects the pawn. So we can take the rook. Maybe he was looking for the best defense, possibly. Although now it says he's offline, so that's weird. But let's just take the rook without thinking. My opponent left the game. Claim victory. Okay, so he was trolling. So he lets us take the center, and then because he's late to the party, we now have the opportunity to push, which we do, gaining space. Now if you can keep this pawn, you have an advantage. But if you lose it, white has an advantage. But it's not easy to win. So what I meant to do was go knight c6 here, bringing out a piece, defending the pawn, which is the best move. I accidentally played c6, which is still an even game, but is slightly less active. Okay, he develops a piece. Black is already preferred here, which is kind of crazy. And you can't see the graph, but it's just completely black and straight. So from here, it just gets way worse. So is f6 really the best? It is the best. Okay, so I didn't go off the rails. f6 and e5 did make a lot of sense here. Because he let me take the center, and I'm brute forcing it because he's controlling it with pieces, but that's why I say you need a pawn presence. A pawn on d4 would make this f6 e5 plan dumb because you could take with the pawn, but the pieces can't take, so it's unstoppable. So it's cool that it's the best. So we play f6, threatening e5, e5. If he retreats, which he should, minus 0.8. Black's a lot better, a little better. But instead he sacks the piece, and from this moment on, minus 5 and higher, which is crazy. We throw in a check, we take the free material. He takes a pawn, we take back. He develops a piece, We kamikaze a pawn, but you don't need to. You can just develop. It makes no difference. We now develop and prepare castling. We castle to get our king to safety. We retreat our bishop, which is no longer aiming at anything and will be hit. We also don't want him to play a move like c5, trying to trap it on the wrong side of the board. It's much better placed here. We do it for free. Then we solidify this pawn in the center, which gives us our central space advantage. And keeps his knight locked down. Minus 4.3. He trades, we take, and then we improve our rook for free. He tries to stop us. We develop a new piece toward the center. But this is where I was curious. What are the energetic moves? So queen h4 was my first instinct, which is the top. Queen g5, which is second, was my second instinct. And developing the knight is the third best move, best idea. So my first instincts were correct. And if he does this, you do sack. So are we bringing the bishop in first, or are we... Okay, we bring it in after random checks. And this is kind of where I stopped calculating, but because you don't need to do this. So I just developed a piece. Then I improved it for free. Force move. Develop a piece for free. Free stuff for free. Save my piece for free. What's the second best move? So if you're not going to play this move, which is the best, like what other options? Queen e8. If he takes the knight, you fork him. If he takes the bishop, what happens if he takes the bishop? You give the check and then you got dark square. I don't really like that. I like my move. You take the free material and he resigns. Quick game. Most of it was just waiting for him to leave the game. Just another example of me and my space gaining schemes. Me and my pawn structures giving me an advantage. I had no idea why he sacked the piece right here, but I think everything after that was very instructive on how to play the position and also what a good position looks like, even if he wasn't down a piece. So hopefully this helps. Good luck in your chess. See you in the next one.